Why are game journalists bad at video games? I don't know, maybe because a lot of them don't play video games, or they're also reviewing games that they just generally don't play. It's like, oh, I'm a RPG gamer, let's review an FPS. Oh, I can't aim? Wow. Who would have guessed? But also, a lot of them just don't play video games. The fact that there was someone who took... How long was the Cuphead tutorial one? Wasn't it like a 5-minute attempt trying to get through using an air dash?
Games journalists have a reputation for being slightly, terrible at video games.
Of course it's the fucking Cuphead clip. Every time, it's the Cuphead clip.
Seems like it's just a fact of life by now. Every writer for every site from...
Oh my god, wait, was that the SpongeBob one?
It's just a fact of life by now.
That's... Have you seen the SpongeBob one? I don't know if it'll show up. Game journalist... SpongeBob. Okay, here we go.
It's a simple task and concept, but trying to execute it is some of the most unfun and Sisyphean gameplay in recent memory. In one section of the puzzle, all you need to do is stand on a button, and that button opens a gate for you to bowl a bubble into so you can progress. The only problem is that doing
so when you walk forward, or when you bowl, you walk forward, and instead of standing back here, he stood on the front of the button.
So you can progress. The only problem is that during SpongeBob's wind-up animation for bowling, he walks forward. That means you fall off of the button, which closes the gate and prevents you from bowling the bubble where you intended.
Jesus Christ.
It's a simple task and concept, but trying to execute it is some of the most unfun and Sisyphean gameplay in recent memory.
This is a game made for literal children. Literal children. And somehow, he struggled with the puzzle. I don't remember what the game is. Let's see if we can find it. Game journalist. SpongeBob. What game was it? Battle for Bikini Bottom.
Writer for every site from Kotaku to IGN just all suck at video games.
Yep, here it is. Here's the clip.
Writer for every site from Kotaku to IGN just all suck at video games. But if you think about it for more than 5 seconds, that should sound a little bit weird to you. They get paid to play and talk about video games.
No. They get paid to talk about video games. That doesn't mean they played the video game. They played enough to get B-roll. How many times do you watch an IGN review and the footage they have is the tutorial and the first area? How many times have you seen an IGN or Kotaku or fucking GameSpot and it's like mid to end game boss? Unless there's a paid skip, probably never.
All day. So if they spend so much time playing video games and spend so much time talking about video games, then why are they so terrible at actually playing video games? Well, to talk about that, we're gonna have to go back in time a little bit. Because the idea that game journalists are just terrible at video games is sort of just taken for granted by now. It's just a fact of life at this point. But it never used to be this way. So let me take you all the way back to the prehistoric era of 2017, where...
Well, I think what you have now is you have writers who are reviewing video games, not gamers reviewing video games. So a writer is going to play the game for the minimal amount of time. A gamer is going to play the game. Now, they might be a gamer in their spare time, but they're not really someone who, like... Gaming is just one of the things they do. It's not, hey, gaming is my life. Which is what you would expect from someone who is a game reviewer. Who, you know, you look at like a Angry Joe, for example.
All of this began with the initial release of a now critically acclaimed
Cuphead.
indie classic.
Still have not played it. Need to do that.
Cuphead released in 2017 and received critical acclaim instantly. Players absolutely adored Cuphead. It had these beautiful hand-drawn animations, it had a really clever and gradual difficulty curve, and it harkened back to the old SNES and Sega Genesis games that the developers grew up with. It was an instant hit, and it sold millions of copies.
I think game journalists are able to watch a cutscene. They might skip the cutscene, but I think they can manage to get past that.
Because of it. But Cuphead, to no one's surprise, is a hard game, and it's hard by design. So when the games journalists entered the scene and came to take a look at this game, they weren't exactly impressed. The game was too hard. It wasn't accommodating enough. It looked good, but it didn't feel good.
I love all the people that play a game and like, this is too hard. There is a difference with a game that is hard and unfair. I can't speak for Cuphead, but I can speak for Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight is a fucking hard game. It gradually gets harder and harder as you go on, but it is a really fucking hard game. However, everything in the game feels fair. Everything in the game makes sense, and once you understand the mechanics, it all flows together nicely. What's a good example? What's something we can look at? You know what? Kazan. Kazan is a hard game, but there are attacks that don't make any sense. There are hitboxes that are fucking weird. There is way too much shit on the screen. This is also a hard game, but a lot of the challenge is seeing what the fuck is happening. What's another good example? Actually, Dark Souls 2. Dark Souls 2 is another good example. Dark Souls 2 is a hard game, but then there are enemies that will backstab you and you teleport halfway across the screen. Very fair, very challenge. Yeah, Dead Cell's another game that's really fucking hard. Or Enter the Gungeon. Enter the Gungeon is really fucking hard. But everything is fair, everything makes sense, it's just, you're shit at the game. And from everything I've heard about Cuphead, I'm imagining it's the same way.
Seemed like game journalists weren't very big fans of this one new Cup.
Oh yeah, I also like when games have things that not every player can do. I love when a game gatekeeps. You don't need to finish every boss. If you want to beat every boss, get fucking good. And I know it's kind of a meme, haha, get good. No, I think games should have content that not every player can do. That, I think, is a good thing. Now, you can go too far with that. I think you can definitely go way too far with that. I think, like, the main story should be something that someone who is reasonably good at games should be able to do. But if you want to have a super boss, if you want to have harder content, you want to have higher difficulties, fucking go for it. Make shit that people are never going to be able to do, unless they are actually dedicated to playing the game. Dead Cell's character is so squishy at times. It's literally designed to not give you much HP boost, but everything hits super hard. Yeah, exactly. Like, Dead Cells would be a much easier game if you just could, like, tank attacks.
Cuphead game that the
I love when a game gatekeeps, but it's not part of the core experience. Yeah, Hollow Knight and the Pantheon, exactly. The Hollow Knight Pantheon, you're not going to finish. Most people are not going to finish it. I didn't finish it. But if you are someone who is dedicated, it's all just an extension of Hollow Knight. Nothing that happens in the Pantheon is something that you haven't experienced in the game to that point. It's just doing it harder. Or Path of Pain, right? Nothing in the Path of Pain is unique to Path of Pain. Everything in Path of Pain, you've seen at some point in the game. It's just far tighter restrictions. I assume the same thing happens with the later stuff in Celeste as well. I didn't finish the like super hard content in Celeste, but everything from what I can see is just mechanics that have been established up until that point, or are introduced in a simple way that gradually build upon themselves. It's just, you're shit. Get over it.
Seemed like game journalists weren't very big fans of this one new Cuphead game that the general public was completely enamored with. But they still gave Cuphead a good review score, usually an 8 or 9 out of 10. But games journalists will literally give an 8 or 9 out of 10 to basically every game ever made. But
Or a 7 is a bad game, because 7 is an unoffensive number. Then there's people who punish themselves beating Hollow Knight no hit. Yeah, those people are not humans.
some of these reviews came with videos alongside them, and one of these infamous videos in particular was about to go completely viral. A game journalist by the name of Dean Takahashi playing the first 25 minutes of Cuphead. People watched this video and were shocked to find out that a large percentage of the video is just the tutorial for the game. Cuphead's tutorial isn't long by any means. It takes just about a minute to complete at the slowest, but our friend Dean takes an excruciating minute and a half just trying to jump over this pillar. That's it, just a single jump. The very first jump in the tutorial of the game was proving difficult for our boy Dean.
No, that would be the second jump. This is the first jump. He managed to do the first jump just fine. That's how he got over here. He can't do the second jump because now you got to press 2 buttons.
Jump so simple that it's literally just there to teach you the controls. Calling it an obstacle would be an overstatement. He then finishes the tutorial another 2 minutes later. But then our protagonist Dean makes it to the first run and gun level.
I've not seen this part.
First real level of the entire game. He then proceeds to spend the rest of this 26-minute and 40-second long video failing to beat this run and gun level. Over 23 minutes of dying constantly, barely even making it a quarter of the way through the level. Dying in such ridiculous ways that it can legitimately be hard to tell whether he's dying on purpose or not. And keep in mind, this video was uploaded on the 24th of August 2017, which was a fair few weeks before Cuphead would actually release to the general public, because Dean actually got early access to Cuphead by playing it at Gamescom Germany.
I guess, yeah, technically it is the tutorial. It's like combat tutorial.
His entire opinion to be formulated off of being completely incapable of jumping over a small ledge. In his defense, though, he does state that he knew his footage was basically unusable after he got it, and the only reason it got uploaded to their channel, and the only reason he wrote anything—
Yeah, but how did you produce it? If you know the footage is bad, how did it happen? If you understood how bad it was, I don't think he understood how bad it was.
Thing about the game is because he and—
I came back with this video that I thought was unusable. I don't think this is true. I think this part is true. I think the fact that your colleagues were like, wow, you're this shit at games, let's just post it.
His colleagues thought it would be funny. But that one mistake, that one attempt at a funny joke at his own expense, created a stereotype for his entire industry that has lasted ever since. From the internet's point of view, he wasn't just uploading a bad gameplay video of Cuphead, he was a living example of just how out of touch game journalists are, and how excruciatingly terrible at their jobs they are. Completely by accident, Dean had created a stereotype. And as much as I hate to be on the side of the hate mob on the internet, it's kind of hard to blame people for arriving at the conclusions that they arrived at after watching this video. This is a person who is paid to play and talk about video games every day of the week. They are technically a professional video game player.
They are technically a professional You are right there, yes. Yeah, no one would complain if he fell, maybe like 3-4 times. Or like he jumped and then cut the dash too early. But a minute and a half just trying to do this.
And yet they can barely walk in a straight—
And then this.
Technically a
trying to like jump over it from here, dashing into the wall.
And yet they can barely walk in a straight line in a 2D platformer. Yet this person's opinion pieces regularly appear at the top of well-respected game journalist outlets. Why should this person's opinion be more valuable than anyone else's when they can barely even beat the games they play? So a lot of people thought that
The tutorial. No, not beat the games, right? I can understand that. If you're like, oh, maybe you're like not able to beat the final boss of the game. No. Beat the tutorial.
Video was eye-opening. Every time a reviewer reviews one of your favorite games and gives it a bad score, maybe this is the sort of performance that they were giving when they tried to play it. Maybe every video game reviewer is just terrible at video games and that's why their opinions seem so out of touch. Maybe the entire industry is just a complete lie. And once this video had opened people's eyes to what a game journalist can really look like, suddenly people started to do some digging, looking to other websites and other reviewers with completely fresh eyes, and they found a lot of the same stuff.
I've seen some like Doom, I don't know if it's gonna show up, but I've seen some Doom gameplay where someone's just missing like half the shots. I've seen a lot of other shooters where people just don't know how to fucking aim. They're like they're playing like an Overwatch style game and throw themselves off the edge.
Games journalists just being terrible.
Yup. I wonder why so many of them ask for lower difficulty.
Video games.
New Super Mario Bros. Wii is a tough game. Old school tough.
New Super Mario Bros. Wii is a tough game. It was a tough game. I played it when I was 8. Very tough. Very tough.
I actually found one example myself while researching this video, although this one's from after all this fiasco actually happened. Just listen to this GameSpot journalist describing SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom as difficult.
All you need to do is stand on a button, and that button opens a gate for you to bowl a bubble into so you can progress. The only problem is that during SpongeBob's wind-up animation for bowling, he walks forward. That means you fall off of the button, which closes the gate and prevents you from bowling the bubble where you intended, when you intended.
This is the sort of barricade that is enough to completely stump a game journalist, apparently, with him.
See, I would do this because I want to see how close I can get to the edge. I wouldn't complain this is hard, complain that this is hard. I would complain that I'm a fucking idiot. Why am I trying to do this? Why don't I just do it properly? But like, you've seen me do stupid shit in games. I would try to stop on this fucking line. That's just because I want to do it in the dumbest way possible.
Sort of barricade that is enough to completely stump a game journalist, apparently, with him even describing this sort of thing in the game as Sisyphean, which I think...
Yeah, this is what I mean by game like, you have writers reviewing games. I cannot stand listening to IGN reviews because all they do is just open up the fucking thesaurus and it's like, oh, okay, so what is a good adjective here? No, we can't go with something like difficult. What's an adjective for difficult? Oh, I know, Sisyphean. Like, just talk like a normal fucking person. You smacked yourself into the big floating bell enemy multiple times just an hour ago. Yeah, basically. Playing thy game was a Herculean task. Exactly.
Might be a bit of a stretch when talking about a remaster of a game for children, to be honest. But personally, I think we might be...
Or, I don't know, maybe if you're talking about a remaster of, like, a Crash Bandicoot, I can respect the phrase Sisyphean if we're talking about Crash Bandicoot. Not SpongeBob. Not SpongeBob.
Being a little bit too harsh on the game journalists here. Because yeah, you're right. Some of them really are just terrible at video games. There's no doubt about that. But this issue gets made even worse by the industry itself and how that industry operates. Because being a game journalist is more than just playing games and talking about them.
I think the main problem they have is a lot of the reviews are done by people who don't play these kinds of games. Like, firstly, if your reviews done by people that don't play games, But in the cases where they have reviews by people that do play games, you'll see like, oh, they have someone who's good at FPS games, and then they get them to review like fucking Dark Souls 12. Like, why are they doing that? Or you have your RPG gamer, and you put them on fucking some new Doom game that comes out. Like, why have you done this? Put them on the game that they know how to play. They also have tight deadlines, so they have to squeeze the most out of the little game they're given. Yeah, but that wouldn't be a problem if they knew how to play the game, right? Like, you can get a good amount of footage for, like, Silksong, for example, if you have 4 hours to play the game. If you're someone that plays 2D platformers. If you're someone who your entire experience playing games is first-person shooters, right? Like, you're not going to be able to get the kind of footage you want for a review. For a review.
There is a massive amount of pressure on you as a game reviewer. Everyone is racing to have their article be the first review at the top of Metacritic the moment the game comes out. So your website will get the promotion that it so desperately needs to survive.
And then you have the people that take their time with reviews and absolutely fucking body them. Because they have the respect of the gamers, right? Like, if I don't know, what's an example of a game reviewer you guys like? I'm presuming it's gonna probably be some YouTuber. Just give me some examples. I don't really watch game reviews much anymore. Game Ranks, Angry Joe, something like that. Let's see. Are we gonna get any answers? Are we gonna get any answers? The incentive structure around writing an article first is absolutely fucked. It's such a contradiction. Giant bomb. I don't know if they still exist. I don't know if they still exist either. Well, the reason why they're so focused on getting the first article out is because nobody looks at their websites. That's why. They need to have the first article out because they have no fucking traffic. And the only way they can get traffic is by trying to be the first on a topic. If you have an audience, you can take a couple of days to release review something, release a video, and you're going to still have people watching it.
All these journalists get their review copies a week early, maybe 2 weeks if they're lucky, and they have to play the game, formulate an opinion, write an article, and ship it all within the space of a week. And this is just not enough time to formulate a well-thought-out opinion on anything, let alone a game.
If you have a day, it's not. If you have a week, that's plenty of time. Plenty of time. If you don't have an opinion of it on a game after playing it for 15 hours, like, that's not my problem. That's not my problem. Do people even visit review sites anymore? See, that's the problem. No. People watch, like, if you want to know if a game is good, Steam reviews, streamers. Like, you're going to go watch your favorite streamer, right? Like, if, I don't know, some random game comes out, I don't know, you watch Charlie, Asma, probably Asma doesn't play fucking games. I don't know, if it's an FPS, maybe you go watch Shroud or someone like that, right? Like, you just watch the streamer play. You don't give a shit if the reviewer's opinion is. You just see the gameplay, and if you like the gameplay, you like the game.
That can be 20 or more hours long just to even finish. Take a game like Elden Ring, for example. If you've played Elden Ring, you'll know that it's a pretty hard game. So when you're a new player, you'll play it for a bit, and maybe you'll get to the first boss, Margit, and he'll just completely beat your ass over and over again.
Okay, that's you walking off the edge, though. That's a skill issue. I go to Brody for my Guna anime games. I don't play gacha games, though.
And you're like, oh my god, this game's so crushingly impossible. Oh my god, how does anyone beat this game? What in the fuck?
That's why I love
This is the
Souls-like.
best game ever. I love Elden Ring. This game's amazing. Your first impression of a game in this short amount of time will not necessarily be enough to formulate a well thought out opinion on that game. Even in just a week or so of playtime, your opinion on a game can change dramatically. And you can't even complete most
Dead
games in a
Cells.
week. Hence why so many IGN articles are written by people who just straight up admit that they didn't even finish the game they're talking about. And as much as this
I can accept that when we're talking about long games or a game like Dead Cells, where it's a lot of repeatable content. But if we're talking about some, like, 20-hour short experience, finish the fucking game. What are you doing? Finish the game.
guy really does just suck at Cuphead. Nobody's good at a game instantly. Getting good at a game takes time. I mean, I don't ever recall being this bad at a game,
This
but
is someone who doesn't play games. That's how bad this is. This is someone who doesn't know how to use a game controller. The only excuse I can give for this is if this is... They said this was they played it at a con. If this is at a con with a wireless controller, I will accept it solely because the controller doesn't work. But if anything else, no excuse.
like, you still get my point, right? Getting good at a game takes some time to do, and it's time that these reviewers just don't have. They're not necessarily trying to make their review as accurate as possible. They're just in the rat race trying to get their review out as soon as they possibly can. And it's not necessarily because they don't care about video games, it's because if they don't enter the rat race, they lose their jobs. So the games journalist is forced to play a new game every week, never getting to truly give any one game the attention it deserves. And it's especially punishing to games with steep learning curves, or games that are just hard by design, or games that reward you for paying good attention to the environment. Which is why Rain World, a game that is a complete masterpiece that is beloved by many, is completely chastised by game journalists and has terrible review scores on all the usual suspect websites. It's not that the game's bad.
Didn't one of you guys tell me about this? I know of this game, and I don't know why I know about this game. I feel like someone told me this was a game I should play on stream at some point. Yeah, I know I've definitely brought it up on stream before.
And it's not that that particular reviewer wouldn't have liked the game if they spent more time on it. It's just that the game doesn't mesh well with the way game journalists have to work. All of the beauty of this game takes time to uncover, and it's just time that the game journalist doesn't have to spend on a small indie title that they'll never think about again. But despite this lack of time, the article that the journalist writes stays on the internet forever. No matter how fast it was written, no matter how ill-informed it is, and no matter how much the writer's opinion might have changed since they wrote the article. When a regular...
Here's the thing, though. Here's my main disagreement. When you are someone who actually likes video games, you don't need to play a game for 5 hours to get a vibe that it's good. Right? Like, there is no... I don't know of a single game where it's really good, but starts off absolute garbage. Every single game that I've ever played that is good, you can see the breadcrumbs there. You can see what it's going for, even though the mechanic's not fully established. Ori, for a good example. Ori is a good game initially, but it doesn't become amazing until you get the bounce. I forgot what it's called. Every game that I've played has been like that. Bash. Yes, Bash. Ori doesn't, like, come together until you have the bash. Hollow Knight doesn't come together until you start getting some of your, like, movement abilities, wall jump, things like that. But even at the start, it feels really good. You see what it's going for. The problem is, I don't think a lot of the people that review games like games. Like, they don't like games outside of the office. Maybe they play some mobile games, maybe they play a little bit here and there, but they're not actually people who play a lot of games. Hollow Knight begins when you get the double jump. You can argue different points, but when you start getting some abilities to work with, Hollow Knight only starts feeling good after you beat Hornet Get Dash. Even so, I agree to some extent. However, even before that point, you understand what the point is. You understand what the game is going for even before that point. You can see how it's clicking together. Even with the first boss in Hollow Knight. This is why I think Silksong has a way weaker start. Vastly weaker. Because I'm forgetting the name again. The knight with the maggots inside him. Fuck. Literally the first boss in the game. Hollow Knight. First boss. False Knight. False Knight. Even at False Knight, even with how limited your moveset is, that boss shows you what Hollow Knight is. Yeah, what is Lost Kin? Oh, no, that's way later in the game. No, that's definitely not... Lost Kin is definitely not the first boss. If Lost Kin was the first boss, that would filter so many people.
A player plays a game, and their opinion grows and changes over time. Their uninformed day one opinion doesn't stick around to haunt them because they're not writing public articles about it that can be found on Google for the rest of time. So with all that being said, let's go back and answer our initial question.
Pipewire moment.
Why are
yeah.
games journalists so bad at video games? Well, the real answer is that, aside from a few outliers, they probably aren't. They just appear to be much worse because their industry incentivizes fast and poorly thought out opinion pieces that serve no other purpose other than to show up at the top of Metacritic. And as for Dean Takahashi...
I don't agree with this conclusion, because a lot of game skills are transferable. If you're someone who plays nothing but, I don't know, Counter-Strike, and you play Doom... Yo, thanks for the raid! Welcome, Kylo. If you're someone who plays, like, Counter-Strike and you go and play Doom, you're gonna understand at a core level the aiming system. You might not understand all of the, like, the high-level doomy stuff, but you'll at least understand the things that are the same. Or if you're playing like a 2D platformer, every 2D platformer fundamentally has the same underlying systems. If you play fucking Rayman on the PS1 and then you play Hollow Knight, you're gonna be able to transfer some of those skills between the games. Not everything, but you'll at least understand how a fucking game controller works.
He's still writing articles for VentureBeat about video games, and people to this day are still lambasting him for being terrible at video games, because I guess some things will just never change.
And that's just softlock Mega Man 02. Fucking rip. Yeah, good luck with that one. I don't agree with his conclusion here. But I think a lot of it is you have people that are reviewing games they don't play. And this is a problem caused by how shitty these companies are and how on life support they are. Like, they just need to pump shit out as quickly as possible with people that have no ability to play these games because they want to review so much because otherwise no one will go to their shitty websites.